welcome back to Travel in Chinese. I'm your host, Mark Rosewell, better known as Dashan. In our dialogues, we've been following Huang Renhao and his family as they arrive in Beijing and take a taxi to their hotel. Unfortunately, they've already lost 2 bags. Xue Mei says that they're 丢三落四. They're always losing things, losing 3s and 4s. 丢三落四. Well, they've got a couple of people helping them out. They all say, 一有结果，我们就通知您. As soon as we have a result, we'll contact you. Now it's time to check into the hotel. They probably will have to 出示护照, show their passports, and 填一张表, fill out some forms. Let's see how it all goes. Let's watch today's dialogue.
我们要办理入住。
请问预订房间了吗？
预定了。
您说一下姓名。
黄仁豪，美国纽约来的。
您预订了2个房间，一个双人间，一个单间。
对。
请给我看一下你们的护照。谢谢。然后您再填一下入住登记单。
好。
谢谢。请交一下预付款。
能刷卡吗？
可以的。好的，谢谢。这是你们的房卡，2间房，一个是1183，一个是1179。
在几层？
都在11层。
那个双人间是朝南的吗
？1183不是，朝西。
能不能把双人间换成朝南的呢？我喜欢朝南的房间。
对，我们在这里要住1个星期左右，请帮我们换一下。
我查一查有没有空房间。还有1间，不过不是在11层。
没关系，在几层
？9层918房。
我就要918房间。
餐厅在2层，1层的左边有一个咖啡厅，他们会帮你们把行李拿到房间。
好，谢谢。我们走。
好。
哎，小杰呢？
在这儿呢。小杰 ，Let's go。
这是您的房间。
谢谢你。
谢谢，我们不收小费。再见。
再见。
哎呀，我忘了，中国不收小费。
走，我们去小杰的房间看看。
走吧。
Okay, let's go through the dialogue bit by bit. This all seems pretty straightforward. Just the standard formalities. 手续 when you 入住饭店, check into a hotel. 入 means to enter. 住 is to live. So 入住 is to check into a hotel. 我们要办理入住手续. We'd like to check in, says Huang Renhao. Of course, for such a major trip, they've made reservations. The clerk asked them politely, 请说一下姓名. 说一下 is a softer, more polite way of asking for information, instead of simply saying 姓名, name. 请说一下姓名 is more like, please tell me your name. 姓名 actually means your surname, 姓, and your given name, 名字. 姓名 means your whole name.
我们要办理入住。
请问预订房间了吗？
预定了。
您说一下姓名。
黄仁豪，美国纽约来的。
In Beijing, we often come across the R ending. Instead of 请说一下, the clerk says 请说一下. Sometimes the R ending is required. Other times it's optional. In this phrase, it's optional, but it's very commonly used in Beijing. 请给我看一下你们的护照. Please show me your passports. Or, please let me see your passports. Again, she could have simply said, 给我看你们的护照. Give me your passports. Show me your passports. But that would have been a little surly. This is a much more polite expression. 请给我看一下你们的护照.
您预订了2个房间，一个双人间， 一个单间。
对，
请给我看一下你们的护照。
They have 2 rooms on the same floor, but both rooms face west. 朝西 is to face west. 雪梅 prefers a room that faces south. 我喜欢朝南的房间. I like rooms that face south. 能不能把双人间换成朝南的房间? Would it be possible to exchange the double room for a room that faces south? 能不能 means would it be possible?
2间房，一个是1183，一个是1179。
在几层？
都在11层。
那个双人间是朝南的吗
1183不是，朝西。
能不能把双人间换成朝南的呢？我喜欢朝南的房间。
黄仁浩 explains, 我们在这里要住1个星期左右. We're going to stay here for about a week. 左 means left. 右 means right. Put together, 左右 means approximately. It might not matter for a day or two, but since they'll be here a week or even more, it would be nice to have their preference. Their clerk does find them a south-facing room, but on a different floor. That's okay. Then they're told that 餐厅在2层, 1层的左边有一个咖啡厅. The restaurant is on the second floor. The coffee shop is on the first floor and to the left.
对，我们在这里要住1个星期左右，请帮我们换一下。
我查一查有没有空房间。还有1间，不过不是在11层。
没关系，在几层
？9层918房。
我就要918房间。
餐厅在2层，1层的左边有一个咖啡厅，他们会帮你们把行李拿到房间。
好，谢谢。
中国不收小费. There's no tipping in China. 小费 is a tip. Okay, let's watch this part again.
这是您的房间。
谢谢你。
谢谢，我们不收小费。再见。
再见。
哎呀，我忘了，中国不收小费。
走，我们去小杰的房间看看。
走吧。
Let's take a bit of a break and talk a little bit about hotels. There are several different words for hotel in Chinese. 饭店 is the most common term, but sometimes this word is also used for restaurants. 宾馆 guest house is also common, as is 大酒楼 or 大酒店. Note that although they use the word 酒 wine, these shouldn't be translated as great wine building. This is just one of those terms that's been passed down and probably changed meanings over time. 饭店 and 大酒店 are usually large, fancy hotels. 宾馆 could be large or small, it's hard to tell. 旅馆 guest house, would be smaller and more inexpensive. 招待所 are often guest houses that belong to a certain government department, a large company, or maybe a factory. Sometimes these are for internal use only. 涉 literally means to involve or related to. 涉外 related to foreign affairs. Now, most tourist hotels take both Chinese and foreign nationals nowadays, but sometimes the cheapest, lowest quality accommodations do not have a license that permits them to take foreign tourists. As for tipping, this is sometimes accepted in China, but much more rarely than in the West. Taxis, for example, do not expect a tip. Nor do you leave a tip in a restaurant. In the tourism industry, many businesses like hotels or fancy restaurants will charge a service fee, usually 15%. In this case, you certainly don't need to leave a tip. If you do choose to give a tip, it won't always be refused, but it's your own choice, and in the vast majority of situations, it's not expected. Let's take a closer look now at some of the language points that we came across when we were watching the dialogue. For example, 能, to be able to. 您能给我看一下您的护照吗? Could you show me your passport for a moment? 您能给我看一下您的护照吗? Here's another example. 您现在不能换房间. You can't change rooms now. 您现在不能换房间. Here's another language point. 都 all. 这些都是我们的行李. This luggage is all ours. 这些都是我们的行李. Here's another example. 我们都是从美国来的。We're all from the United States. 我们都是从美国来的。
2间房，一个是1183，一个是1179。
在几层？
都在11层。
那个双人间是朝南的吗
1183不是，朝西。
能不能把双人间换成朝南的呢？我喜欢朝南的房间。
Let's go to the next language point. 左右 literally means left and right, but we'd say in English approximately. For example, 一个双人间一天大概300块钱左右。One double room per day is approximately 300 kwai, or 300 yuan. 一个双人间一天大概300块钱左右。Here's another example. 他50岁左右。He's around 50 years old. 他50岁左右。
对，我们在这里要住1个星期左右，请帮我们换一下。
我查一查有没有空房间。
There's one more language point I'd like to review a little bit. 不过 but, this indicates a change, an addition, or a correction to the preceding information. For example, 这个房间不错，不过小了一点儿。This room is not bad, but it's a little small. 这个房间不错，不过小了一点儿。Here's another example. 北京的秋天天气很好，不过空气很干燥。The weather in the autumn in Beijing is quite nice, but the air is a little bit dry. 北京的秋天天气很好，不过空气很干燥。Okay, let's go back to the dialogues and see how they use these language points.
还有一间，不过不是在11层。
没关系，在几层
9层918房。
我就要918房间。
Now let's look at a grammatical structure that we came across in the dialogue and try some substitution exercises. 一下 This is a polite, colloquial expression indicating that the time required is limited. For instance, I won't be taking much of your time. Let's look at an example sentence. 我来介绍一下，这是我的朋友。Let me make a brief introduction. This is my friend. 我来介绍一下，这是我的朋友。Let's try some substitutions now using the phrase 一下。
请等一下好吗？
请等一下好吗？
我想打听一下怎么去银行。
我想打听一下怎么去银行。
我们要办理入住。
请问预订房间了吗？
预定了。
您说一下姓名。
人豪，美国纽约来的。
您预订了2个房间，一个双人间，一个单间。
对。
请给我看一下你们的护照。
Well, what have we learned today? 让我们来看一下。Let's take a quick look. At the hotel, we learned about 入住手续, the formalities when checking in. This was no problem because they'd already 预订房间了. They'd made reservations in advance. But they still had to 交预付款, pay a deposit. 雪梅 asked, 能不能换房间? Is it possible to change rooms? No problem, and you don't even have to pay a 小费, a tip. Well, after their long trip, it's time for them to relax a little bit now. We'll see what they do in the next episode. See you then. 再见.